Admiral Kethmer stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the small blue planet through the massive viewing screen. His scaled hands gripped the command rail as he studied the primitive world below. Earth, the humans called it. How pathetic. Admiral, his communications officer hissed, "We have completed our scans of the human homeworld. Their technology is basic." Kethmer's yellow eyes gleamed with amusement. "Show me what these creatures have managed to build." The screen changed, displaying images of human cities, their crude spacecraft, and their laughably simple weapons. Nuclear bombs. Chemical rockets that could barely escape their own atmosphere. Radio waves for communication. The Admiral had seen more advanced technology on mining worlds. "They've only one inhabited planet," the tactical officer reported. "No colonies, no space stations of significance. Their largest weapons can destroy cities, but nothing more. Their fastest ships take months to reach their own moon." The bridge crew of the Zephyrian warship buzzed with quiet laughter. In their 300 years of conquest, they had never encountered such a backward species. Most civilizations the Empire absorbed had at least achieved faster-than-light travel. These humans were still crawling around their own solar system like insects. "Sir," the sensor operator called out, "we are detecting some unusual readings from the outer edges of their solar system. There appear to be some small objects, but they are too far away to scan properly." Kethmer waved his hand dismissively. "Debris. Asteroids. These humans probably threw some metal into space and call it exploration." He turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to their planet. All frequencies." The communications officer nodded and began transmitting. Within moments, the screen showed various human faces, their leaders, military commanders, scientists. They looked confused and afraid. Perfect. Admiral Kethmer stepped forward, his voice booming across space. "Primitive beings of Earth, I am Admiral Kethmer of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our great civilization. You will surrender immediately and submit to imperial rule. Your resistance is meaningless. Your technology is laughable. You have 1 hour to respond with your complete surrender." The human leaders on screen looked at each other with what appeared to be panic. Good. The Admiral had delivered this same speech to hundreds of worlds. Most surrendered immediately. A few tried to fight with whatever primitive weapons they possessed. None had ever won. One of the humans, an older female with gray hair, stepped forward. She wore what appeared to be some kind of military uniform. "I am General Sarah Chun of the Terran Defense Council. We have received your message." Kethmer smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Excellent. Then you understand the futility of resistance. Begin evacuation of your military installations. Our forces will arrive shortly to oversee the transition." General Chun looked directly at the screen. Her expression was not what the Admiral expected. Instead of fear or desperation, she seemed almost amused. "Admiral Kethmer, we appreciate you taking the time to visit our system. However, we must respectfully decline your offer. We suggest you leave our space immediately." The bridge fell silent. Kethmer's smile faded. "What did you say?" "We decline," General Chun repeated calmly. "Please leave our system. This is your only warning." The Admiral stared at the screen in disbelief. Warning? These creatures, who barely had the technology to leave their own planet, were giving him a warning. The representative of an empire that controlled nearly 1,000 star systems. "You dare threaten me?" Kethmer roared. "Do you have any idea who you are speaking to? I have conquered 47 worlds personally. My fleet has enough firepower to turn your pathetic planet into dust." General Chun remained calm. "We are aware of your capabilities, Admiral. We are also aware of your empire's history. We have studied your methods carefully. Our answer remains the same. Leave. Kethmer turned to his weapons officer. How many ships do we have in the fleet? 50 warships, Admiral. Each one equipped with plasma cannons and energy shields. More than enough to handle any primitive resistance. The Admiral turned back to the screen. General Chun, since you seem incapable of understanding simple concepts, let me demonstrate. I am going to destroy one of your orbital stations as an example. Perhaps watching your own technology burn will help you understand your situation. Admiral, General Chun said softly, I really don't recommend that course of action. But Kethmer was done talking. He had never encountered such arrogance from a primitive species. These humans needed to learn their place. Target their largest space station. Fire one plasma bolt. Minimal power. I want them to watch it melt slowly. The weapons officer began targeting procedures. But before he could fire, something impossible happened. The Zephyrian fleet sensors suddenly detected movement throughout the solar system. Ships were appearing out of nowhere. Not primitive human ships, but vessels unlike anything in the Imperial database. Admiral, the sensor officer shouted, we are detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Ships are appearing from nowhere. Kethmer spun around. What? That's impossible. Our scans showed nothing. On the screen, human ships were decloaking all around the Zephyrian fleet. They moved with impossible grace and speed. Their designs were sleek and deadly, nothing like the crude rockets the Empire had detected earlier. Sir, these ships, they don't match any known technology. Their energy readings are off our scales. Before Kethmer could respond, the human ships struck. But they didn't destroy the Zephyrian vessels. Instead, they did something far more frightening. They disabled them completely. Energy weapons that seemed to phase through shields as if they didn't exist. The mighty Zephyrian warships found themselves powerless, drifting in space. General Chun's face reappeared on the screen. She was smiling now, but it was not a friendly smile. Admiral Kethmer, consider this a demonstration of human hospitality. We have disabled your ships but left your crews unharmed. You have 12 hours to leave our solar system. Do not return. The screen went dark. Admiral Kethmer stood on his powerless bridge, staring at the blank display. Around him, his crew worked frantically to restore systems, but nothing responded. Somehow, these primitive humans had weapons that could shut down Imperial technology without destroying it. Hours later, as auxiliary power slowly brought life support back online, Kethmer sat in his command chair, humiliated and confused. The humans had kept their word. After exactly 12 hours, the Zephyrian ship system suddenly came back online. No explanation. No communication. Just a clear message. Leave now, or face something worse than destruction. As his fleet limped away from Earth's solar system, Admiral Kethmer sent an urgent message back to Imperial Command. The humans were not what they appeared to be. Something was very, very wrong with the intelligence reports. These creatures had technology that could make the mighty Zephyrian Empire look like children playing with toys. But pride is a dangerous thing, and the Zephyrian Empire had never backed down from any challenge. They would be back. Next time, they would bring everything they had. The humans had made a very powerful enemy. They had also made a very foolish one. Emperor Vexstar's roar of rage echoed through the crystal halls of the Imperial Palace. The massive Zephyrian ruler paced back and forth, his golden armor clanking with each step. Before him, Admiral Kethmer knelt on the polished floor, still recovering from his humiliating encounter with the humans. Explain to me, the Emperor hissed, how a single primitive planet managed to disable 50 of our warships without firing a shot. Kethmer kept his head bowed. Your Majesty, the humans possess technology we have never encountered. Their ships appeared from nowhere. Our sensors detected nothing until they chose to reveal themselves. Their weapons passed through our shields as if they were not there. Impossible. General Dekvar, the Empire's supreme military commander, stepped forward. His scarred face showed disbelief. Our intelligence reports confirmed these creatures barely have spaceflight. They use chemical rockets and primitive nuclear weapons. That is what we believe, sir, Kethmer said carefully. But what we saw was different. Very different. Emperor Vextar stopped pacing. His 6 eyes focused on the Admiral with deadly intensity. Are you telling me that our intelligence gathering, our sensors, and our analysis were all wrong? I don't know how, Your Majesty. But yes, the humans have been hiding their true capabilities. Their technology is far beyond what we detected. The Emperor's clawed hand slammed down on his throne's armrest, cracking the solid metal. In 300 years of conquest, the Zephyrian Empire had never encountered serious resistance. They were the apex civilization of the galaxy. Their technology was unmatched. Their military was unstoppable. Your Majesty, General Dekvar said slowly, perhaps we should reconsider our approach to this human problem. Reconsider? The Emperor's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. General, are you suggesting we retreat from a single primitive planet? Are you recommending that the mighty Zephyrian Empire surrender to a species that has not even left their own solar system? Sir, I merely suggest caution. If their technology is as advanced as Admiral Kethmer reports, then we crush them with overwhelming force. The Emperor stood, his massive frame towering over his generals. If these humans think they can humiliate the Empire and escape consequences, they are wrong. Dead wrong. Emperor Vegstar turned to his communication console. Summon the Crimson Talon. The throne room fell silent. Even General Dekvar, veteran of 100 campaigns, looked shocked. The Crimson Talon was the Empire's elite military unit. They were genetically enhanced warriors with cybernetic implants and advanced training. Their ships were the most powerful in the Imperial fleet. They had never known defeat in 300 years of service. Your Majesty, General Dekvar said carefully, the Crimson Talon has never been used against a single planet. They are reserved for the most dangerous threats to the Empire. These humans are the most dangerous threat to the Empire, the Emperor snarled. They've made us look weak. Other species will see what happened to Admiral Kethmer's fleet. They will think the Empire can be challenged. This ends now. Within hours, the greatest military force in galactic history was assembling. 200 of the Empire's most advanced warships, 10,000 elite soldiers, weapons capable of destroying entire planets, all commanded by Emperor Vegstar himself. Meanwhile, billions of light years away, humanity was preparing as well. General Sarah Chun stood in the command center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her, the most brilliant military minds on Earth worked in advanced computer terminals. The room hummed with activity as data flowed across holographic displays. General, Colonel Martinez approached with a datapad. Our deep space sensors have detected massive Imperial fleet movements. They're assembling something big. Chun nodded without surprise. How big? 200 capital ships, ma'am. Energy signatures suggest planet-killer weapons. And ma'am, the Emperor himself is leading them. Chun smiled that same cold smile Admiral Kethmer had seen. Good. It's time we stop playing games. She walked to the central command console and placed her hand on a bioscanner. Authorization Chun, Sarah. Classification level Prometheus Black. Begin full system activation. Across the solar system, things that had been sleeping for decades began to wake up. What appeared to be asteroids in the belt between Mars and Jupiter suddenly showed signs of activity. Several of Jupiter's moons, which had been studied by human scientists for years, revealed hidden structures beneath their surfaces. Even the sun itself contained secrets no alien species had ever suspected. "Ma'am," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving activation confirmations from all hidden installations. Prometheus Base, Lazarus Station, and Phoenix Arrays are all coming online. What about the sleeper fleet?" "Fully operational, ma'am. All ships report ready for immediate deployment." General Chun turned to address the room. "Gentlemen, ladies, for the past 50 years, humanity has been preparing for this moment. We have watched the galactic civilizations. We have studied their technology, their tactics, and their weaknesses. We have learned from every species, improved upon every weapon, and planned for every possibility." She gestured to the massive display showing the solar system. Red dots appeared throughout the system, marking previously hidden human installations. "The Zephyrians think they are bringing overwhelming force against a primitive planet. They have no idea what they're actually walking into." "Ma'am," a young officer asked, "why didn't we reveal our true capabilities earlier? We could have avoided this conflict entirely." Chun's expression grew serious. "Because, Lieutenant, the galaxy wasn't ready to know what humanity really is. Most species developed on peaceful worlds. They evolved slowly, carefully, in harmony with their environments. Earth is different. Every day on our planet was a fight for survival. Every species that lived here had to become a predator or become extinct." She paused, looking at each person in the room. "We are the children of a death world. We are evolution's answer to the question, what happens when you force intelligence to develop under constant threat? The answer is simple. You get us. The Zephyrians are about to learn why every species on Earth has sharp teeth, powerful muscles, and quick reflexes. They're about to discover why human children play games called war, and why our entertainment involves violence and conflict. They think they're hunting prey. They have no idea they're about to face the ultimate predators." Chun walked back to her command station. "All units, prepare for Operation Hellgate. When the Imperial fleet arrives, they expect to find a primitive world defended by crude weapons. Instead, they're going to find out why humanity has been hiding in the shadows." The Emperor's fleet was 3 days away. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for 50 years. Soon, the galaxy would learn the truth about the species from the third planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star, the children of Earth. We're done pretending to be harmless as the hidden bases throughout. The solar system completed their activation sequences. One message was broadcast to every human installation. Welcome to the war the galaxy never saw coming. Make them remember why monsters evolved intelligence. The trap was set. The predators were waiting. And the emperor of the mightiest civilization in known space was about to walk directly into humanity's perfect ambush. 3 days until contact. 3 days until the galaxy changed forever. Emperor Vextar stood on the command bridge of the Imperial Dreadnought Eternal Glory, the largest warship ever built by the Zephyrian Empire. Around him, the Crimson Talon fleet moved through space like a metal storm. 200 ships, each one a masterpiece of destruction, armed with weapons that could crack planets and shields that could survive supernovas. "Your Majesty," Commander Zektal of the Crimson Talon reported, "we have arrived at the edge of the human solar system. All ships report ready for immediate assault." The Emperor gazed at the small yellow star ahead of them. Somewhere in that system was the primitive planet that had dared to humiliate his empire. Today, that planet would burn. Today, the galaxy would remember why the Zephyrian Empire was feared across 1,000 worlds. "Begin full system scan," the Emperor commanded. "I want to know the location of every ship, every weapon, every installation these humans possess. Leave nothing to chance." The fleet's sensors, the most advanced in the galaxy, swept through the solar system. The results appeared on the main display. Earth hung in space like a blue jewel, seemingly defenseless. A few space stations orbited the planet. Some satellites moved in predictable patterns. Everything appeared exactly as primitive and harmless as the original intelligence reports had suggested. "Sir," the sensor officer reported, "scans confirm minimal human presence in space. We detect approximately 12 small ships in Earth orbit, all matching previous intelligence about their primitive technology. No significant weapons platforms. No hidden bases." Emperor Vextar frowned. "What about the ships that ambushed Admiral Kethmer's fleet?" "No sign of them, Your Majesty. Either they have been moved to locations beyond our sensor range, or—" the officer hesitated. "Or what?" "Or they were never actually there, sir. Some of our analysts believe Admiral Kethmer may have been affected by some form of hallucination weapon or mass hypnosis." The Emperor considered this possibility. It would certainly explain how primitive humans had seemingly developed impossible technology overnight. Perhaps they had some form of mental manipulation device. Crude, but potentially effective against unprepared minds. "Maintain maximum alert," he ordered. "Deploy the fleet in standard conquest formation. Target all population centers for precision strikes. I want these humans to watch their cities burn before they surrender." The Crimson Talon fleet moved deeper into the solar system, their massive ships spraying out in perfect formation. Each vessel was a mobile fortress, equipped with reality-warping weapons and defensive systems that had never failed in 3 centuries of warfare. As they passed the orbit of the planet called Mars, Emperor Vextar allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Soon, this embarrassment would be over. The humans would be conquered, and the Empire's reputation would be restored. Any species considering rebellion would think twice after seeing what happened to Earth. "Your Majesty," the communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the human planet." "Display it." The screen flickered, showing the familiar face of General Sarah Chun. She appeared to be sitting in some kind of command center. Behind her, human personnel worked at various stations. Everything looked exactly like what one would expect from a primitive military installation. "Emperor Vextar," General Chun said calmly, "welcome to our solar system. I believe we may have gotten off to a bad start during your Admiral's visit. Perhaps we can discuss this situation like civilized beings." The Emperor's laugh was like breaking glass. "The time for discussion has passed, General. You had your opportunity to surrender peacefully. Instead, you chose to humiliate the Empire. Now you will face the consequences." "I see," General Chun said. Her expression remained neutral. "So you've brought friends." "I have brought the Crimson Talon, the finest military force in the galaxy. 200 ships with enough firepower to turn your entire planet into dust. This is your final chance to surrender unconditionally." General Chun was quiet for a moment, appearing to consider his words. Then she did something that made Emperor Vextar's blood run cold. She smiled. "Emperor, has anyone ever told you that you talk too much?" Before he could respond, the trap was sprung. Every asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter suddenly unfolded like mechanical flowers. What had appeared to be natural space rocks revealed themselves to be massive weapons platforms, each one the size of a moon. Gun barrels longer than Imperial. Dreadnoughts swiveled to target the Crimson Talon fleet. Several of Jupiter's moons cracked open like eggs, revealing structures that defied understanding. Massive installations that had been hidden beneath fake surfaces for decades powered up simultaneously. Energy readings that made Imperial planet killers look like toys began building toward firing levels. But that wasn't the worst of it. The space around the Crimson Talon fleet suddenly filled with ships. Not the crude human vessels they had detected earlier, but sleek predators that seemed to phase in and out of reality. Thousands of them, appearing from nowhere, moving with impossible speed and grace. Impossible! Commander Zeke shouted. Where did they come from? Our sensors detected nothing. Emperor Vexstar stared at the tactical display in growing horror. The overwhelming force he had brought to crush a primitive planet was suddenly surrounded by an enemy fleet 3 times larger. Weapons that shouldn't exist were powering up all around them. Hidden installations throughout the solar system were revealing their true nature. Your Majesty, the sensor officer's voice cracked with fear. The energy readings. They're beyond our measurement scale. Some of those weapons appear to be manipulating gravity itself. Others seem to be affecting space-time. On the screen, General Chun leaned forward. Emperor, I tried to warn you. We really don't recommend aggressive behavior in our solar system. How? The Emperor's voice was barely a whisper. How is this possible? Would you like the simple explanation or the complex one? General Chung asked pleasantly. The simple version is that we've been watching your empire for a very long time. We've studied your technology, improved upon it, and built something far better. The complex version involves explaining why evolution on a death world produces very different results than evolution on your comfortable garden planets. The human ships began to move, surrounding the Crimson Talon fleet with mathematical precision. No wasted motion. No unnecessary aggression. Just perfect, deadly efficiency. Sir, the weapons officer screamed. They're targeting our engines. All ships report weapons lock. Emperor Vexstar watched his supposedly invincible fleet being outmaneuvered by an enemy that shouldn't exist. Ships that had never known defeat were being treated like children's toys by creatures his intelligence services had dismissed as primitive mammals. Open fire! He roared. All weapons. Destroy them. The Crimson Talon fleet unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons that could melt continents fired simultaneously. Reality-warping weapons that twisted space itself tore through the void. Energy beams that could punch through any known defense lit up the darkness between worlds. None of it mattered. The human ships moved through the Imperial barrage like dancers, their hulls seeming to phase in and out of existence. Weapons that should have vaporized them passed harmlessly through their forms. When the humans finally returned fire, the results were devastating. Imperial ships that had conquered hundreds of worlds found their shields failing against weapons that seemed to ignore conventional physics. Engines shut down. Weapon systems went offline. Life support flickered. One by one, the pride of the Zephyrian Empire was reduced to powerless hulks drifting in space, but the humans didn't destroy them. Just like with Admiral Kethmer's fleet, they disabled everything while leaving the crews alive. It was a demonstration of power so complete, so overwhelming, that destruction would have been merciful by comparison. Emperor Vexstar stood on his darkened bridge, emergency lighting casting red shadows across his face. His invincible fleet had been neutralized in less than 10 minutes by an enemy that had revealed itself only when it was ready to strike. General Chun's face appeared on his emergency screen, still smiling that cold, predatory smile. Your Majesty, I believe we need to have that discussion now. But this time, you're going to listen. Emperor Vexstar sat in his command chair, surrounded by the sparking remains of his bridge systems. Emergency power cast eerie red light across the faces of his crew. Outside the viewports, the disabled ships of the Crimson Talon drifted helplessly through space, their weapons and engines dead. General Chun's image flickered on the emergency screen, transmitted from somewhere on the planet Earth. Behind her, human personnel worked calmly at their stations, as if completely disabling the galaxy's most powerful military force was routine business. Before we begin our discussion, Emperor, General Chun said, I think you deserve to understand exactly who you decided to threaten. You see, Your intelligence about humanity was both completely accurate and completely wrong. The Emperor said nothing. His pride was shattered, his fleet was powerless, and his empire's reputation was in ruins. What more could these creatures possibly do to him? Your scouts were correct about our technology when they first observed us, General Chung continued. We did have primitive nuclear weapons. We did use chemical rockets. We did communicate with simple radio waves. All of that was true. She paused, her expression becoming more serious. What your scouts didn't understand was that we wanted them to see that. We've been watching galactic civilization for over 200 years, Emperor. We've had invisible observation posts throughout your empire since before your grandfather was born. The communications officer on the Imperial Bridge looked up in shock. 200 years? But that's impossible. Your species has only had spaceflight for decades. General Chun smiled again. You're thinking like someone from a safe world, officer. Let me explain something about Earth that your databases missed. Our planet has tried to kill everything living on it for 4 billion years. The main screen changed, showing images of Earth that the Zephyrian databases had never recorded. Massive storms that could flatten continents. Volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun for years. Ice ages that froze entire oceans. Asteroid impacts that wiped out whole species. Every creature that ever lived on Earth had to fight for survival every single day, General Chun explained. Not just against other species, but against the planet itself. Do you know what happens when you force intelligence to evolve under those conditions for millions of years? Emperor Vexstar found his voice. What? You get us, she said simply. Humans aren't just another species, Emperor. We're evolution's answer to the question, what's the most dangerous thing you can create? We're apex predators who develop technology not for comfort or convenience, but for survival and warfare. The screen showed more images. Human cities that looked peaceful on the surface, but revealed hidden defensive structures when viewed with different sensors. Orbital installations disguised as communications satellites, but actually armed with weapons no alien civilization had ever imagined. Every human child grows up playing war games, General Chung continued. Every human story celebrates conflict and victory. Every human advancement in technology is immediately considered for military applications. We don't just study warfare, Emperor. We are warfare. Commander Zekto, listening from his own disabled ship, managed to activate his communication system. But your technology, our scans showed primitive capabilities. Because we wanted you to see primitive capabilities, General Chun replied patiently. We've been watching your empire expand for centuries. We've studied every weapon you've ever built, every tactic you've ever used, every weakness you've ever shown. While you were conquering helpless civilizations, we were learning from you. She gestured, and the display showed technical schematics that made the Imperial engineers gasp. Weapons based on Zephyrian plasma technology, but improved beyond recognition. Shields that used Imperial energy field principles, but applied in ways no Zephyrian had ever imagined. We took your best ideas and made them better, General Chun said. Then, we took the best ideas from 47 other civilizations and improved those too. Then we added our own innovations. Do you want to know what happens when a species that considers warfare an art form gets access to advanced technology? The Emperor stared at the impossible weapon designs. Some of them used physics principles his own scientists didn't understand. Others seemed to violate natural laws entirely. Every peaceful species in the galaxy developed technology to improve their lives, General Chun explained. They built faster ships to explore, better communication to connect, advanced medicine to heal. We built all of that too. But first, we built better ways to kill. The screen changed again, showing the hidden installations throughout the solar system. The fake asteroids, the disguised moon bases, the weapons platforms hidden inside the sun's corona. Decades of preparation. Centuries of planning. You see, Emperor, your empire makes a critical assumption about intelligent species. You assume we all evolved the same way you did. On safe worlds. With abundant resources. With time to develop philosophy and art before we developed weapons. General Chun's expression grew cold. Earth is not a safe world. Earth is a place where the weather can kill you, the animals can kill you, the plants can kill you, and the ground itself can kill you. We didn't have the luxury of developing philosophy first. We had to become perfect killers just to survive long enough to build our first cities. That's impossible, Commander Zektal protested. No species could become that advanced without peaceful development periods. Commander, General Chen said softly, every predator on Earth can track prey for days without rest. Every human can throw objects with mathematical precision while running at full speed. Every human child can calculate trajectory and impact velocity instinctively. We didn't learn to be killers, Commander. We were designed to be killers. Emperor Vexstar finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. You've been preparing for this encounter since first contact. Longer, General Chun corrected. We've been preparing for this encounter since we first detected your empire's existence. We knew eventually someone would come to Earth expecting easy conquest. We decided to be ready. The screen showed the human ships that had surrounded the Crimson Talon. Up close, they looked like nothing else in known space. Sleek, deadly. Beautiful in the way that only perfect predators could be beautiful. These ships were designed by creatures who think about warfare the way you think about breathing, General Chung explained. Every system, every weapon, every defensive measure was created by beings whose ancestors survived by being better at violence than anything else on a planet full of violence. But why reveal this now? Emperor Vexstar asked. You could have remained hidden. Your secret would have been safe. General Chun's smile returned, but this time it held no warmth at all. Because, Emperor, you made a mistake. You didn't just threaten our planet. You threatened our children. And there is one thing you need to understand about species that evolved on death worlds. She leaned forward, and for the first time, Emperor Vexstar saw the predator that lived behind her human features. We don't forgive threats to our young. We don't forgive threats to our young. We don't forgive threats to our young. The screen went dark for a moment, then showed something that made the Emperor's blood freeze. Human ships, thousands of them, emerging from hidden bases throughout the galaxy. Not just in the solar system. Everywhere. Around every major Zephyrian world. Near every Imperial military installation. Inside the Empire itself. You see, Emperor, General Chun's voice echoed through the darkness. While you were bringing your fleet here, we were positioning our fleets there. All of them. Every human ship, every human weapon, every human soldier. We've been inside your empire for decades, waiting for exactly this moment. Emperor Vexstar realized with growing horror that his empire was already lost. Had been lost the moment he decided to threaten Earth. He had brought his best forces here to crush what he thought was a primitive planet, leaving his entire civilization defenseless against an enemy that had been infiltrating it for generations. The question now, Emperor, General Chen said quietly, is what happens next. What happened next was not a war. Wars require two sides capable of fighting each other. What happened was an execution carried out with mathematical precision across 1,000 star systems. Simultaneously, Emperor Vexstar watched from his powerless flagship as reports flooded in from across his empire. Every Zephyrian world, every military base, every government installation was sending the same message: surrender or die. Human fleets had appeared simultaneously around every major imperial target, emerging from hiding places they had maintained for decades. "Your Majesty," his communications officer whispered, "we're receiving reports from the home worlds. The humans, they're everywhere. Every system, every colony, every military installation." "How is this possible?" General Chun's voice answered from the darkened screen. "Because while your empire was busy conquering primitive worlds, we were busy learning how to be invisible. Every trade ship that visited your planets, every diplomatic mission, every cultural exchange, some of those people were human." The Emperor stared at the screen in disbelief. "Shapeshifters? Cloning technology? Nothing so exotic," General Chun replied. "Just very good disguises and very patient planning. Did you know that with the right genetic modifications, a human can pass for almost any humanoid species? We've been walking among you for generations, studying your weaknesses, mapping your defenses, preparing for this day." Reports continued flooding in from across the Empire. The capital world of Zephyr Prime, surrounded. The military academy on Kethmer 7, captured. The weapons development facilities in the Outer Rim, destroyed. Everywhere the Empire had built something, humans had been waiting. "Sir," Commander Ziegtal's voice crackled over the communication system, "I'm receiving word from my home planet. The humans, they've taken the entire system without firing a shot. They knew exactly where everything was. Defense codes, command structures, everything." General Chun nodded. "We've had people in your government for 50 years, Commander. Did you really think your secure communications were actually secure from a species that invented warfare?" Emperor Vexstar found his voice. "What do you want? Surrender terms? Tribute? Territory?" General Chun was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft and terrible. "Emperor, I don't think you understand the situation. This isn't a negotiation. This isn't a conquest. This is an extermination." The screen changed, showing the heart of the Zephyrian Empire. The great capital world where the Emperor had ruled for 40 years, where his ancestors had built a civilization that spanned the galaxy. Human ships surrounded it like antibodies surrounding an infection. "You made a simple mistake, Emperor. You assumed we were like you. You assumed we would follow galactic conventions about warfare and conquest. You assumed we wanted to rule your empire." The screen showed more images. Zephyrian colonies being evacuated. Military installations going dark. Government buildings standing empty. But the planets themselves remained untouched. No cities burning. No population slaughtered. Just emptiness. "We don't want your empire, Emperor. We never did. What we want is for threats to our children to never exist again." Emperor Vexstar watched his life's work disappear before his eyes. "You're destroying everything we built." "No," General Chun corrected. "We're erasing everything you built. There's a difference. Destruction leaves ruins. Erasure leaves nothing at all." The process was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. The humans didn't occupy Zephyrian worlds. They didn't install new governments or demand tribute. They simply removed the Zephyrian Empire from existence. Military forces vanished. Government officials disappeared. Colonial administrators were relocated to unknown locations. Within 72 hours, a 1,000-year-old civilization had been reduced to empty planets and silent space stations. The mighty Zephyrian Empire, which had conquered hundreds of worlds and ruled billions of beings, simply stopped existing. "Where are my people?" Emperor Vexstar demanded. "What have you done with them? Your military personnel are being held in comfortable facilities while they're educated about their new circumstances." General Chun replied calmly. "Your civilian populations are being relocated to suitable worlds outside this galaxy. Your government officials are being retired. And me? General Chun studied him for a moment. You, Emperor, have a choice. You can join your people in exile, forgotten and powerless. Or you can serve a different purpose. What purpose? You can be the one who tells the galaxy what happens when someone threatens humanity's children. The screen showed new images. Ships from dozens of alien civilizations, all moving toward the edges of former Zephyrian space. The galaxy had noticed the sudden silence where an empire used to be. They were coming to investigate. The galactic community is about to discover that the Zephyrian Empire no longer exists, General Chun explained. They're going to want to know why. They're going to want to know who did this. And most importantly, they're going to want to know if it could happen to them. Emperor Vexstar understood. He was to be living proof of what happened when you underestimated humanity. A warning to the galaxy. You would spare me to spread fear. Not fear, Emperor. Understanding. You see, for the past 2 centuries, humanity has been watching galactic civilization. We've seen how you expand, how you conquer, how you treat species you consider inferior. We've been waiting to see if any of you would eventually threaten us. The screen showed Earth, peaceful and blue in the darkness of space. It looked exactly like the primitive world the Empire's scouts had first observed. We never wanted to reveal ourselves, General Chun continued. We were content to remain hidden, watching, learning, preparing. But you forced our hand. You made us show the galaxy what we really are. And what are you really? General Chun's smile was sad now. Almost regretful. We're what happens when evolution designs the perfect predator and then gives it starships. We're what your empire would have become if it had evolved on a world trying to kill it every day. We're the species the galaxy wasn't ready to meet. Around the solar system, the human installations began to fade back into invisibility. The weapons platforms disguised themselves as asteroids again. The moon bases sealed their entrances. The fleet that had destroyed the Crimson Talon vanished as completely as it had appeared. Within hours, Earth looked primitive and defenseless once more. Just a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable star. The kind of world any advanced civilization might ignore as unimportant. Remember this day, Emperor, General Chun said, as her image began to fade. Remember what happened when you threatened our world. And when the other civilizations ask you what became of your empire, tell them the truth. What truth? That there are no monsters under the bed. The monsters were always living among the stars, calling themselves human. And they were patient, and they were kind, and they tried very hard to remain hidden. Right up until someone threatened their children. The screen went dark. Emergency power brought life support back online aboard the Imperial ships. The humans had kept their word. The crews were alive and unharmed. But the Crimson Talon fleet, like the Empire it had served, was finished. Emperor Vexstar found himself alone on a ship drifting at the edge of a solar system that looked empty and harmless. Behind him, the galaxy continued its ancient dance, unaware that the rules had just changed forever. Ahead of him lay a blue world where the most dangerous species in the universe pretended to be primitive mammals dot as rescue ships from various galactic civilizations arrived to investigate the disappearance of the Zephyrian Empire. They found only one survivor willing to talk, an emperor without an empire, sitting on a barren moon with a single message. We thought we were hunting prey. We had no idea we were visiting the home of the apex predators. They let us think we were strong until we threatened what they loved. Then they showed us what real strength looks like. The galaxy learned a new truth that day. There was another player in the game. One that had been watching from the shadows, learning, waiting. One that could erase empires as easily as switching off a light. And somewhere on a small blue planet, the children of Earth went back to their daily lives, their secret safe once more. The monsters had returned to hiding among the stars. patient and kind and invisible, until someone else made the mistake of threatening their young.